Welcome back to Watching Business Morning here on Channels Television. The special advisor on energy to President Bola Tinubu, Mr. Olu Vehejan, has disclosed that Nigeria has successfully attracted a total of $13 billion in investment commitment into its oil and gas sector from major international energy companies. On the other hand, we also have that the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has announced that it had granted an approval to construct NOD of 500 metric tons of liquefied petroleum gas in Abuja recently, and the authority stated that the move will not only boost the much needed gas, but also affect employment in the country. So does it mean that we are doing well? Can we relax at least for gas? Can we say we're on the right track? Well, Engineer Thank God Egbe is a technical director, chief executive officer of Cypher Crescent Limited, joins us now. Engineer Thank God also earned recognition as one of Nigeria's top 100 innovative CEOs by The Guardian in 2019. So we expect to get some really innovative, creative ideas concerning our gas and how to use it this morning. Thank you so much for your time, Engineer Egbe.
Thank you, Ini. Thank you for having me.
So my mind is open. I think it's time to get some innovation, because we're just talking about gas. And even before we settle down into gas, we see the price surging, you know, on like every front. The good thing is conversion of either your car or generator. We've seen that crash now. We hope it stays that way. But the gas itself is now becoming a scarce commodity. It seems demand is catching up on it.
Yes, not really. If you look at Nigeria, we are called more like a gas country with pockets of oil, though we make most of our foreign exchange from oil. So we need to be very deliberate about gas. So basically, once the whole policies have really very exciting 10 days ago, about 10 days ago, when some companies were given the license to actually monetize gas from flex sites and so on. So we have enough gas. We just have to be deliberate to accept gas as our transition fuel, and even a mainstay for the fuel to actually move. So we have enough gas with over 200 TCF of gas that we have, and there's no deliberate exploration for gas. This has been like that for the past 5 to 7 years, about the same figure, hovering around 200 for the past 5 to 7 years. So I think we have enough gas. It's just for us to put up the technology, to put up the business model that we use to monetize that gas.
So are you comfortable with all of these moves? Everybody's talking about gas now. We've talked how we've attracted investments into the area. The regulatory authority, NMDPRA, is saying that, well, they've approved the construction. So are we on the right track? Can we say, yes, we have started this gas journey?
Yes, I would say from my perspective, yes. I observe it from a technology and innovation perspective, and also from a business model perspective. I really like what is happening. I'm seeing the government actually adopting a Penta Helix development model for gas, where entrepreneurs are actually brought in to support the E&P companies who are struggling to actually manage the gas and keep flaring the gas. You see companies flaring sometimes above 220, 30, 50 million scf of gas. That's a huge amount of gas being flared. It's the right move that the government did to actually monetize that gas. And of course, if you look at the whole Penta Helix model, we start looking at entrepreneurs coming in. Of course, there's some investors. Basically, what's left now is basically bringing in investors to complete that move. And then you also have some innovation companies like ourselves being around to help the companies, to help people around with business models, with technology they need to actually look at it. So I see a complete ecosystem. If we give them some time, the next 1 or 2 years, I see a drastic change in terms of how much gas that we use and how we utilize our gas, and also reduction in the amount of gas that we flare. So I see that approach. It is actually a very deliberate approach, and if we follow it deliberately, we'll be able to get that.
Yeah, so, you know, when we hear investors coming, sometimes we forget that these investors are actually here to make profits. So if you are not careful and deliberate, in your interaction and transaction, you could actually, as a country, lose out, which is what has been happening with our solid minerals and all of that. So what innovations, I mean, you one CEO, innovative CEO, what innovations can we introduce into the gas space with this investment and attention that it's getting to ensure that Nigeria is actually safe and benefiting from this investment and not just giving out its resources?
Okay, so I'll look at it from innovation from two perspectives, business model innovation and also technology innovation. But most importantly is basically business model innovation. We start looking at gas, how basically the different value chain from LPG to CNG to LNG and all those things are basically to look at what business model do I need to actually monetize that gas? What market do I have? What infrastructure do I have around that? So if you put all those in perspective, that's where technology comes in. That's where innovation comes in. As a country, do we have a digitalized framework to understand the infrastructure that we have? Because for basically to get value from gas, there are three elements. First of all, the source of gas. We have enough amount of gas. Secondly, the infrastructure. And then, of course, lastly, the market. The market is there. And then the source is there. Once we're able to get that infrastructure, so the whole business model we want to look at is innovation around the business model, around the infrastructure. What infrastructure do I, what optimization will I do to plug the source of gas, leveraging the existing infrastructure or a very quick infrastructure I need to do to actually get to the market. And of course, for technology, a part of it is basically where we come in to start looking at what does the market need. We seem to go for LPG. How then do I use technology to actually optimize the gas value chain to get more LPG? And so it's basically employing technology and business model to actually drive that and so on. So and that's basically what we are doing. We see a lot of companies doing that, even LNG too. We want to look at a lot of persons actually doing around the whole LNG value chain.
So talking about utilization of gas, we, of course, with this conversation, it sometimes sounds like it's for the elite or for the high earners, the bigger companies. Is there a way to make it trickle down to small businesses so that they can also be a part of this gas value chain?
I think it's been done. If you look at the recent award for 42 companies giving 49 flat sites, those are small companies. Those are entrepreneurs. Those are people who are very creative that can actually monetize that. They're not big companies. They are smaller companies. So the challenge they will have is basically the investment. But most of them are actually partnering with investors to actually get money to look at that. So basically, the move through the whole Nigerian gas fertilization program is basically to take the gas and bring the smaller companies in. I'm discussing now from the upstream perspective. Of course, from the downstream perspective, the problem is distribution. People are also developing technology to actually distribute, monitor, receive big companies and small companies, developing technology to help in terms of gas markets, to search for gas and distribute gas. And so the recent program of using that Penta Helix model is bringing in small companies, small entrepreneurs to come into that ecosystem to help the bigger companies innovate in business model, innovate in technology. Of course, even in infrastructure to actually monetize gas. So I think basically the move by the government of giving those sites to those companies. Some of them are smaller companies, some of them are actually big companies, some of them are really unknown companies too, who are only innovative in technology and are able to capture and get those sites.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to give them time to spread. But still talking about utilization and in the households now. We're talking of how to get more Nigerians to embrace gas, their vehicles, even electricity. How would you say we're doing in that respect? Do we need more education? Are we good with where we are, the adoption of it?
For household, around the urban centers, they are good. Well, we say we are good, but of course, the infrastructure, the cylinders, the safety of the cylinders, say a company is looking at composite cylinders for safety to track technology, track that. So for the household, we are good, but for the cars, the safety concerns, a lot of persons are actually not comfortable with using CNG in their cars because, of course, once you retrofit. But once we start being deliberate to import cars, to manufacture cars in the country, where, of course, Innocent is doing a very good job. We're excited to hear a couple of months ago when they commissioned the CNG, their CNG gas-fired vehicles. And so once it comes in factory fitted, people will be comfortable, and there need to be a lot of sensitization on safety. These things are on safety. So once that is done, you see that in terms of economics, people know that, of course, gas is more economical, it's cheaper than oil, but enough sensitization needs to be done to actually encourage people to move towards using gas for cars. And then for homes, we need to get more cylinders. We need to innovate on the business model so that people don't struggle. People don't struggle for gas. I can use my app, use your app to order gas, and then people can refill it. It's being done. We work with a company in South Africa where they basically use technology to digitalize the whole gas value chain in terms of LPG. You can sit down in my house and monitor how much gas I've used and what time do I need to actually replenish that. And then the vendor will bring that to replace that, even if the gas is not done. So that's the technology that we're seeing. And of course, a couple of companies in Nigeria are actually innovating in that area. So I think we need more sensitization and also need to bring in technology too to actually drive this from an e-commerce perspective.
Yeah, well, and I believe that if investors see that it's a beneficial project, a lot of Nigerian and even international investors will tour that path. But thank you so much, Engineer Thank God Egbe, Technical Director, Chief Executive Officer of Cypher Crescent Limited.
All right, thank you, Ini. Thank you.